the top 5 business opportunities here on the African continent. Curated by me, Rashad Mccrorey. Number 1, agriculture. Agriculture is booming around the world. And what better place to start an agriculture business than the land where everything has begun? What is agriculture? It's using the earth's materials, what God, the universe has developed, has given to this world and the earth in order to build sustainable living. Ideas for agriculture, something new that I came upon, aquaponics farming, and that's a system where fish and plants grow together. Some people use the word symbiotically, meaning at the same time, immersed together. So one place you might have tilapia farming, and then right next to it, you may be growing special berries, special herbs. And then maybe you may feed some of that to your tilapia. So on one end, you have your own pond, your own pool of tilapia. And then right next door, maybe you will have a farm. And then you package that together and then you shipped off, or you barter, or you trade. So aquaponics is efficient and a sustainable way of farming. For my tech people out there, you can do agriculture also. A lot of people think agriculture only focuses on, let's call it environmental studies, the earth. But you can do something called agri-tech. Just like they have the name agribusiness, you could do something called agri-tech. Can you develop an app? Can you develop software? Maybe you can help farmers monitor their crop health. Maybe you could develop a weather machine that really says this is the optimal time to plant your seeds, to plant for your crops. You can optimize irrigation. You can even manage the supply chain. So now, maybe let's go to our previous example. Let's say you have some tilapia. Let's say you have carrots. Let's say you have cabbage. Let's say you have corn. Let's say you have cassava. How are you managing those things? How do you know if you have too much of one and not enough of something else? A surplus of one and a deficiency in somewhere else. There can be an app that manages those things. And if you're worrying about how do I explain this to people? I'm going to change gears for a little bit, but there's something called big ticket items, and then there's also small ticket items that you sell plenty of. Let's say you want to sell one large acre in a valuable position. You say, hey, I found this American somewhere. He's willing to buy my acre for 100,000 American dollars. You sell that acre, you made $100,000 American dollars one time. But let's say if I want to sell a bottle of water that costs 1 CD, but instead of selling 100,000, I would have to sell, let's say, 1 million. People drink water every day. At the end of the day, I won't name any brands because they didn't pay us, but these brands of water are selling literally billions every week, tens of billions every week. So one person may say, hey, I can sell this one plot of land, not plot, but 1 acre of land, or this one portion of land one time for $100,000, or I can sell one bottle of water that costs 1 CD to 1 million different people. People going to need water until the day they die. So that's actually very, very, very realistic. So is it going to be something that you call a one-time big ticket sell? Or is it something that's easy to sell, but you just have to sell it a lot of times? So with your apps, do you want to develop an agriculture app that everyone uses? Or do you want to develop an app that you charge premium prices to farmers and they can buy it at premium prices? And again, there's 54 African countries, let alone how many farms and villages and places that you can go where you can sell that app. Again, in this global market, when you talk about free trade and so many other things, don't limit yourself to your town, to your village, to your town, to your city, to your region, to your country. to your continent. Today's world, we have to get used to being global. No, you may not necessarily want to do business with any country, anywhere around the world. It may not be safe. But then I suggest, let me tell you what not, I'm not going to tell you what not to do. I suggest that you don't always just limit yourself to one particular area, one particular region. Even now, you find a lot of restaurants that's doing deliveries. They're doing online things. So unless you're somebody who just strictly focused on your immediate area, maybe a container store, don't be afraid to ship things all over the world. Speaking of restaurants, we're still in agriculture. We're still only in number one. I'm going to give y'all a lot of great ideas. Today. We call this farm to table restaurants. You can start a restaurant business, and you can only deal with organic foods, which is another idea, and only deal with your local farmers. You don't have to worry about importing from another country, another continent. You can find your local farmers, and you can set out a good, nice deal and sell nice organic food at a reasonable rate to your immediate area vicinity, and really make a lot of money and also really help sustain your food. As somebody who is from the United States, and especially someone who's from what many call the ghetto, the hood. I'm from the ghetto. I'm from the hood. I wasn't privileged in the United States. My mother, she never went to college. My father didn't graduate high school. And they raised 3 college graduates. So when I say these things, know that they're coming from somebody with a true, let's call it, hustler spirit. Now, that's why I talk about the United States right now. In the United States hood where I grew up, it's been a long time since we had real food. I remember when I was about 6, 7, 8 years old, around that time, kindergarten, first grade, second grade, when they first introduced seedless grapes without seeds in them. Some of you probably like, what? Grapes without seeds in them? Watermelon without seeds in them. Some of you are probably like, what's watermelon without seeds? They introduced that to me when I was about 6, 7, 8 years old. I'm in my early 40s, y'all. I have a young spirit. I'm in my early 40s. Now, there's people in their 30s, 20s, until they travel outside of the country, or unless they really want to go on their organic lifestyle, their vegan lifestyle, their natural food lifestyle, they never had certain fruits with seeds in them. It wasn't until I was an adult that I even had bananas with seeds in them. So organic food is definitely something that's on the rise. I used to make a joke. I tell my American guests when they want to visit the continent for the first time, I tell them, in the United States, when you eat chicken, when you come to Africa, let me say it in reverse. When you come to Africa, no matter what country that we're going to, and you eat chicken, these chickens might have been alive the very week that you are eating them. When they were alive, they were probably eating real rice with no steroids in them, with no GMOs in them. They were eating real worms from the ground. In the United States, some of these chickens may not have ever been alive. Some of these chickens may not have ever been alive. So when you eat the organic food on the African continent, and let's keep it to Ghana in this sense, don't take that for granted. That's why you always see a lot of big overweight Americans. Because not only do we have easier access to food, to fast food, there's also a lot of steroids and a lot of growth hormones pumped into our foods to help the supply of food to make them grow faster so we can consume more. And inside those growth hormones, that's what make us bigger also. So there is a movement within the United States for organic food. So again, we're still on number one. I told you I'm going to give y'all 5. We're still on number 1. If you want to get into agriculture, do focus on organic foods. It's something that we take for granted here on the African continent. But globally, there's a movement towards people who want to get organic food. Let's go to number 2. Let's go to number 2 on our list. Renewable energy. A lot of my American colleagues, they are really looking to invest in solar energy. Solar energy is something that for the years to come, even our current administration, the Biden administration in the United States, they are focusing on solar renewable energy. So if you can find a way to, let's say, seek out grant money, find an American colleague who can find a way to get sustainable energy grants, you can get a lot of money internationally for building solar energy. You tired of using your prepaid? I don't want nobody to these are strictly the opinions of Rashad Mccrorey. You can really use a solar panel and really save yourself a lot of money over the years, over the decades. And in some cases, for many of us, over generations. So don't be afraid to consider solar panels, sun energy, energy from the sun. The sun is going to be here a long time before we leave. For some of you who speak a little more, who want to study a little bit more, who may not necessarily have the funds to purchase solar panels, maybe you could become a green energy consultant. Maybe you could become a green energy consultant, meaning you can study and learn about sustainable energy. Shout outs to Aquaponics and Aquaponics. They do ecotourism with sustainable development. You may want to consider green energy consultation. You don't always have to have the money to invest in something to make your to make your startup money. You can always use your mind. You can always spend 5 CDs, 10 CDs, buy data bundle, watch some sustainable energies, watch some renewable energy, videos. You can watch this episode of Beatz Africa 92.73 FM. You can watch this episode on replay, and you can really study it, and then turn around and sell some of this information. I was at my family house here in Ghana, in Itre, and somebody said, "Oh, Nana, I need some advice. Can you give me some advice?" And before they started, because I knew where it was heading, I said, Americans pay me for advice. And they was like, "No." I was like, "Yeah." I was like, "Let me show you." And I went into my Instagram DM at Rashad_Mccrorey. I went to my Instagram DM and I showed them. I said, "Hey, look, this person paid me the equivalent of 350 Ghana to talk to them over the phone for 40 minutes. And believe me, that's not money at all. There's people who are doing consultant. I'm gonna change it to Ghana CDs. Who's doing 2,000, 2.5, 5,000 for an hour of consultation. And these are mega influencers. But if you can speak well, if you can articulate yourself, and you can find a clientele that wants your line of expertise, you can make it happen. It's not difficult at all. We have to find what our gifts are. Once we find what our gifts are, then the next step is to monetize them. That's what I say to high life musicians. Yeah, we love high life, we love the free life, but you still gotta live. High life musicians can make a lot more money. Now let's go to wind turbine. People are making money with these wind turbines. And if there's anything that I say that you say, "Oh, I don't have enough money for that. Oh, that's high price. That's for rich people ideas." Remember, you can always be a consultant. Consulting is free. The only money you have to invest in consulting is education. And I already told you, you can always use data bundle and watch YouTube videos. Get the video bundle. Don't get the data bundle. Get the video bundle and watch some YouTube videos and become an expert. I'm looking at you. If you're on Facebook Live, I'm looking at you. It's really that easy. It's really that easy. Number 3, I'm going to say e-commerce. There's other things that we can add under e-commerce, whether it's YouTube. I know dozens upon dozens, and I want to expand it and say I know hundreds of people across the African continent making money on YouTube. I know hundreds of people who are making money on Instagram, Facebook, let alone who I don't know. Whether you want to sell your items. Oh, how many people are making money on WhatsApp? Especially those who are first. Not somebody who see 100 people doing things and want to join too. Yes, you can be better than all those people. But if you could find something that you can be one of the first people to do, or if you could be one of the first few people to do it, you can really make a lot of money. I spend a lot of money trying to be first. I spend a lot of money trying to be one of the first few people catching on to a new wave. If I see something that I never saw before and I see someone else being successful at doing it, I try to do that as soon as possible before the wave catches on. I may not necessarily have to be first, but if I could be 5, 10, or even 15, where eventually thousands of people are trying to do it, tens of thousands of people are trying to do it, I want to catch that wave. Maybe it's something that only has a short flame. Maybe it's something that only has 3 months, 6 months, a year lifespan. And you could get some money within that first 3 months, that first 6 months, that first year, and then it just dies out. Always try to be first. Always try to be a part of that first wave. Don't wait till you see everybody else making money on something or being successful at something until you decide to do it. Be brave, be strong. Try to be that first person. Ain't nothing better than being a trendsetter. I'm a trailblazer. You're talking to a trailblazer. There's nothing better than being a trailblazer. And if you can't be the trailblazer, there's nothing wrong with being a pioneer. Let's go to some e-commerce ideas that I came up. What about fashion? How can you promote some of your fashion brands? Some of your designs? Some of your artistic behavior? How can you find someone who's talented, but you're the person who's the influencer? You're the leader of your family. You're the Abusia Payne. You're the Obaya Payne. You're the person that everybody goes to, that everybody listens to. You're the leader in your social groups. You can influence people to do something. How can you monetize? Not exploit, but how can you monetize that influence, that power? That's a form of e-commerce. Maybe there's someone who's more talented than me, than myself, but I'm the one with 55,000 followers on Instagram, real followers who listen to me. And I can get them to do this. Maybe you have the skill, but I'm the platform that they listen to. I'm the authority figure that they listen to. How can we collaborate and then make us both money? Online learning platforms. I just talked to you about being a consultant. How can you promote yourself? How can you promote yourself online to be a thought leader, a consultant expert? What can you I'm trying to balance a difference between people with money to actually get an app or to build an online platform and people who may only be starting from internet in the dream. When I first moved to the African continent, to Ghana in 2020, there's one thing that I always said to myself: as long as I have data in a phone, I can always find a way. But if I ever lost my phone and had no data, then game over. Then I would have to call mom. and then I'll have to call a cousin, and then I'll have to ask for money to go home. But that was always worst case scenario. I said, as long as I have data and a phone. And the honest reality is that even then I was kind of being a little too extra. Now I have the confidence that means that as long as I'm able to just walk into some place, because I have the gift of gab. We call it the gift of gab, the gift of being able to talk, to being able to speak. That's why I always try to learn the languages, because if I can't communicate, then I feel like, oh, I'm at a disadvantage. Let me go to somewhere controversial. I'm gonna go somewhere controversial. There's money in forex trading. There's money in the stock market. There's money in forex trading. The problem is a lot of people, they don't have the self-control to do proper forex trading. You need a lot of self-control. You need a lot of courage. You need a lot of strength to not lose your money. But there's people out there who's willing to wait out the dips and willing to sell on the highs to make a profit. But that takes a lot of meditation. That takes a lot of prayer. That takes a lot of inner work. When you do forex trading, when you do stock market trading, the biggest enemy is yourself. The biggest enemy is yourself. The first time the money drops and the money's gone, people just throw it away. Oh, I lost my money. Oh, I'm losing too much money. Sometimes you got to wait, and then sometimes you got to know not to get in the first place. You got to study things like forex and stock market trading for over a year before you even can have even the most basic confidence. And if you go to some of these apps, they let you trade with paper money. Trading with paper money is not real money. They're apps that let you kind of like let you learn how to trade. And you're not winning any money, you're not losing any money. But it just helps you to trust your instinct. It helps you realize certain patterns during certain seasons. Some of y'all jumping in trading during seasons that everybody is known to lose money. In the United States, people know that the stock market always dips in August and always dips in September. So if you don't know that and you just starting for the first time in August or September, you're going to lose all your money. Let's go to number 4. Top 5 business ideas on the African continent. Healthcare services. There's big money in healthcare. I got a lot of inboxes, good and bad, with from the video that when I shook hands with the current president. I tell people I don't have political affiliations. I'm about Pan-Africanism, and I want the entire continent, all of Ghana, the entire continent to win. I remember the previous president, Mahatma, he did a lot of investment into hospitals, correct? He did a lot of investments into hospitals. Unfortunately, people either going to always be sick, and President Mahatma, forgive me. People are going to always get sick, unfortunately. People, fortunately, are always going to want to practice wellness and health. There's always going to be money in healthcare services. I want to talk about some things more out of the box, like something that may be outpatient services, like mobile health clinics. Outpatient services are when something, let's say, the doctors go visit the person in their house, in their home. When I was studying in public administration, and I've done a lot of social work in my pre-Africa life, we did a lot of outcare or outpatient services. So as social workers, as healthcare providers, we would go to the people's homes. Because a lot of people have mental illnesses or anxiety where they don't want to leave their house. Sometimes they can't even afford to leave their house. They're spending half of their money that could go towards medicine or paying their hospital bills just based on transportation. Or they're getting in trotro sick. They're getting in the trotro sick and passing their sicknesses on to everybody in the trotro on their way to the hospital or in the shared rides. I'm in the Central region where we do shared rides. Outpatient services done right, whether you go to remote villages, I'm sure the government may possibly give grants for those. If you find a way to do it the right way, outpatient services, mobile health clinics, that's big money. Medical equipment. There's a shortages on medical equipment in a lot of these hospitals. Healthcare training centers. With all these nurses running around, I was surprised to find out there's only a handful of schools. You know, some of these ideas are for big boys, big girls. Some of these ideas, there's always consultation. I keep saying that over and over again. You know, I keep saying that there's always consultations. So let me go into our final one for this list. I do have a book, Repatriation, Tips and Strategies for Families and Individuals Moving to the African Continent. And I named 20 of these. I came out with 20 investment ideas, 20 business ideas, and 20 job opportunities. And this book had catered for diasporans and Black Americans who want to move to the continent. But I always knew these are the same opportunities that are for Ghanaians in Ghana. These are the same opportunities for Ghanaians in Ghana, and I think everybody has potential. You just have to find your gifts. You either have to create a gift or you have to find the gifts. There's two schools of thought. One is you have to find your gift. That's, keep trying different things, find what you're good at, talk to your parents, learn about your family history, see what gifts you have in a family, find what you're good at, and once you find what you're good at, then that's the direction in life that you can go to. That works for so many people. There's many of you out there who need to find your gift. Then there's create your gift, create your life. And that's when you say, hey, I want to do that. I want to be this type of person. I want to be that type of person. You at home, you in your car, you at the family barbecue, family picnic. Y'all figure this out. Then you go out and create that. Find out what books that person read. Find out what school that person went to. Find out where they did their vocational studies at. Find out how to become that type of person. Oh, I like the way that person dressed. Where do they go shopping at? Oh, where did he buy that from? Where did she get that from? Go out and create that person. So you can find yourself or you can create yourself. The choice is yours. On to our final of the top 5 business ideas on the African continent. Again, 1 was agriculture. 2, I forgot what 2 was. 1 was agriculture. 2 was renewable energy. 3, e-commerce, online. 4th, healthcare services. And now let's go to number 5. My specialty. Tourism and hospitality. Tourism is big business in Ghana. I feel like it's getting to the point where soon it's going to be oversaturated. But even once it's oversaturated, it's something that we call, wrinkling out. Think about a wrinkled towel, a wrinkled shirt, something like that. And you shake it out until all the wrinkles come out. You iron it out, meaning that the people who are weak in those fields, who are not disciplined, who are scamming people for money, who are eating their profits, not reinvesting their profits into their business, those people, they're going to fall out. And then the people who respect their job, respect their clients, reinvest their money, those are the people who are going to survive. There's going to be people who come in later. Remember when I said always try to be first? That doesn't mean that you can't come in late and capitalize and learn from other people's mistakes. That does not mean you can't capitalize and learn from other people's mistakes and come in later when things are a little bit more stable. Ghana is young in tourism. People have been traveling to Kenya. Kenya Tourism Board is probably 100 years old. Egypt, hundreds of years old. Ghana is only a baby. History is going to look at 2019. History is going to look at 2019 as the year that Ghana entered the tourism sector. Yes, we have Bob Marley. Yes, we have Marcus Garvey. We have W.B. Du Bois. We have so many people who have been traveling to the African continent, and Ghana specifically, for decades. But 2019 is when the history books is going to say Ghana became a mainstream tourism attraction, starting with the year of return. So over the next 10 years, over the next 50 years, and I have a hypothesis about this, life, the world, time is not linear. It's a word called cyclical. It means it goes into cycles. Cyclical. It goes into cycles. Whereas the year of return in 2019 marked the 400-year anniversary that the first Africans were sent to the Americas from 1619 from Elmina slave dungeon to Jamestown, Virginia in the United States. The 400-year anniversary. 2016 marked the 100-year anniversary of the Great Migration in Black America, where after slavery had ended, Black Americans started moving from, let's call it the southern region of the United States, slave states, to free states in the north and off to the west. So not only around the same time was the 400-year anniversary of the year of return, it was also the 100-year anniversary in the Great Migration. Another anniversary was when Black Americans moved to Liberia and created the country of Liberia. Liberia was created by Black Americans. And that was in the 1800s. That was in the around 1819. Around the year 1819. So that's another just time that we have where everything comes cyclical in nature. And why I say this with tourism, just to bring it back to you, why I say this with tourism is because I firmly believe, as a thought leader, as one of the leading Black Americans bringing Black Americans to the continent, one of the leading influence when it comes to repatriation and diasporans coming to Ghana and to all of the African continent, there's another 50 years. There's another 50 years, not to say, don't wait 47 years to start your business, but it's not too late. These are the early stages. I tell the Black Americans who are coming here all the time, those of you who come here now, you're still pioneers. So if anybody in Ghana wants to start their tourism business, it could just be you and your car. I'm going to confess right here live on radio, IBM. And y'all out there, y'all can laugh at me because it's a long, long time ago, and I already laughed with the client already. My first ever client, we took them on their tour in Trotros. Started in Aquapone. They took the Trotro from Aquapone to Accra, and then took a VIP bus from Accra to Elmina Slave Dungeon and back to Aquapone in one day. My first ever tour. I didn't even go myself. I sent one of my staff members. I didn't even go myself. I had 4 Ghanaian helpers. Great people, you know, and my first trip, I did everything on Trotros. I didn't even have a car. I didn't rent a van. It was 2 people. I didn't rent a van for them. I didn't rent a car for them. I'm so ashamed. But that's where you start. So I share these stories, and this was in 2016. So I share these stories to say that you can always start from where you are. You know, my home now is Elmina, but the last 2 weeks you've been hearing me say Aquapone a lot because I started my tourism company and everything in Aquapone. So other ideas we have for the tourism sector, culinary experiences. Everybody loves food. Everybody loves food, especially when you talk to diasporans and Americans. You could build trips just based on trying different foods throughout the continent. Throughout the country. You could try different foods. You could have one day where you could have Gan Kinkin and Fanti Kinkin laid out and ask them what's the difference. You could have Banku, and then what is Ewe Banku called again? I always forget the name. Ewe Banku. I play. What's the difference between I play and Banku? Yeah. So we don't know that. I barely know that. You know, so there's so many different ideas. You could just have it music. You can have one section. I'm giving y'all so much free game. Oh my God. May the universe, may the God say, I'm going to give Nana Rashad a great idea just because of how much information he's giving out on this show today. You can have one tour based strictly on nightlife. You can have one tour strictly based on indigenous experiences. You can have a whole nother tour based on just tourist attractions. And you can give people that option. Ecotourism. Again, talking about aquaponics, I was at Ojua last week. Ecotourism, building sustainable development. Adventure tourism. I have a whole top 5 list of the top adventurous places all over the African continent.